TikTok got banned, so I thought it was the perfect excuse to go touch grass outside. Oh, wait a second. Anyways, I had a wonderful idea that I can gallivant across the fields and pretend to be an outdoor sketcher for a day or two over the weekend. I'm here to share the joy of sketching on location while outside. Okay, enough of that. So I've been sketching outside regularly for a couple of years now, and I sketch on my hike, while sitting at a cafe, or even people watching while having brunch like a creep. It's a small, silly little art habit that I picked up and not something that I regularly post online. But I think because I don't put the pressure of having to show these on social media, that I'm able to enjoy drawing in the moment. Also, I just think it's really neat to come back with a little souvenir from a trip in the form of a sketchbook page. Anyway, developing this quirk is very difficult at first since I struggle a lot with getting proportions and had multiple moments of being too afraid to make a mark in my sketchbook. So here are my personal tips that help me actually enjoy drawing outside. I for one like to keep my sketchbook kit really small. When you're drawing on the go, you are likely drawing on your lap, so the surface you'll be able to draw may be limited, hence why even the sketchbook size is a travel size. Also, while traveling or hiking, you're likely already carrying a lot of other necessities and don't want your drawing supplies to make your load even heavier. I usually hike with my dog, so in the spirit of trying to travel as minimally as possible, I usually just draw in a sketchbook with a pen. While packing, it's easy to think you'll be able to use a lot of art materials at your disposal, but when you whip out your sketchbook on location, it will become really overwhelming. The less you bring, the more you'll be able to commit to filling out a sketchbook page. As a side note, I know the idea of drawing straight with a pen is daunting, so it's okay to add a pencil and eraser to your kit. For me, I'm nerfed so hard that I personally smudge the pencil marks while sketching no matter how careful I am. So going straight with pen means spending less time overall on the drawing, especially since I'm usually on the go. So always cater your location sketching experience based on what you know best about yourself as an artist. Next tip would to be as time efficient as possible. Now it's scary to think you have to whip out something in 5 to 10 minutes, but when you are dedicating the time to drawing, those minutes will feel slower. These sketches shown here were done in 10 to 20 minutes. I personally wouldn't go over the 20 minutes mark on a drawing, mainly so I don't destroy my back with my shrimp posture, but also some locations are windy, cold, or I would get too caught up in the unnecessary details. But if you are feeling strongly about wanting to add more to the sketch, feel free to complete it at home. If I was spending an hour on each drawing, I'd be at a location all day without actually enjoying myself outside touching grass. So while I do enjoy drawing outside, I also try to actually enjoy the outdoor adventure. The next tip would be that the sketchbook setup does not need to be fancy. I'm the kind of person who buys a lot of sketchbooks, but when I get one with a pretty cover, I'm less inclined to use it as an outdoor sketchbook, mainly because there's this invisible pressure that the sketches inside need to also be fancy. So to get rid of that anxiety that everything needs to look nice, I actually buy cheaper sketchbook and use a regular pen so I can focus on the raw drawing and not feeling the need to create a drawing worth being in a fancy sketchbook. Even a post-it note or copy paper is a valid art supply. I'm in the boat that a sketchbook does not have to be pretty and perfect. In fact, most of my sketchbooks are honestly pretty crappy. But I subscribe to the philosophy that sketchbooks are meant to be the most abstract and raw reflection of what we see in front of us. So if you're drawing in a chaotic environment where the people you're sketching move around a lot, it's okay if you're only getting a portion of the poses and not the whole thing. Once you capture the feeling in the moment, just look at all of these uncompleted people's sketches. You'll always be able to create another drawing later down the road. There is no rule that every single drawing has to be perfect and completed. And in the spirit of not using fancy supplies, the drawings themselves don't have to be a fully developed masterpiece either. I treat all of these sketches as low stakes, so I don't really have the expectation that I'm ending the trip with a full-fledged nature journal. I just draw what speaks to me in the moment. Here are some pages of my lunch, but I ended up being too hungry, so I stopped the drawing session and chowed down. Kinda really sucks when the reward of completing a drawing is really cold food anyways. Here's another page that I ended up disliking, but I'm so happy I was able to capture some of that memory. For location drawing, you'll need to have the expectation that you won't always have strong pieces, but prioritize that you're just capturing what is in the moment. If you're really pressed about your sketch, you can always add memorabilia or paper souvenirs if you dislike the drawing that much. At least it will give you a memory of that day. Outdoor sketching takes a lot of practice and trial and error. Like I mentioned before, I like drawing on location because this forces me to draw what's in front of me instead of needing to make as much decisions or liberties if I were doing an illustration back at my desk. Now I'm going to share some extra tips just because I like to yap. Tip 1. Try out different tools that work best for you, and only you. It took me a lot of years and consistent practice before I reached my current process, which is just drawing with a pen and a sketchbook that's small enough to fit in my sling. Nothing too fancy or unique. Some artists prefer to use pencils, colored pencils, watercolors, or even draw in gouache. Maybe later down the road I'll be able to build a confidence to work with those tools on the go, but for now I'm focused on simplicity. Tip 2. Don't focus on getting it perfect. No one will be able to see the view or reference footage you're working off of except for you. If you manage to create the shapes and forms of the trees, rocks, and hills, for example, your sketch can still translate. The focus here isn't to get the one-to-one perfect reference to sketch. The goal is to notice the details of your surrounding and capture the feel of it in your drawing. If you wanted a straight one-to-one copy, we'll just take a photo, right? Tip 3. You don't have to post every drawing if you're not happy with it. Since these are often drawn on the spot, you don't have to put the pressure on yourself that you have to leave this session with a portfolio level illustration. The mindset needs to be, let me just put some marks down on the moment and then move on. Tip 4. If you truly feel you're struggling, there is no shame in taking a photo and then working on your sketchbook at home. You would not believe the amount of random photos I take on every hike with the intention of drawing it at home. Oftentimes I'm hiking with a group of friends and I always feel bad having them wait on me to work 20 minutes in my sketchbook, so there's no shame in just taking a photo. Plus you'll remove the limited time piece and you'll feel less pressure to speedrun the sketch if being fast is not your thing. And final tip, I have not forgotten about my friends who are not in a situation where they can go outside. It's okay to use Google Maps, use images online, or ask friends for travel photos to work off of. I understand that not everyone is able to take a hike or can get bored of drawing the same flowers in the backyard. And sometimes the idea of bringing a sketchbook outside to draw can be daunting. As a regular practice, I would pretend I'm outdoors drawing and pull a reference photos from Google Image. Let's check out Banff Lake, Canada, for example. Ooh, this is a cool image. Then I fill out the sketchbook as if I'm personally there and bam, here's my drawing. I credit the photographer in my sketchbook, but the intention is to get the practice of live drawing done here, not to sell a sketchbook page for hundreds of dollars. I'd also like to dispel the illusion that I draw every time I go outside. I don't. In fact, there are many times where I bring my setup and end up not touching it at all, and that's okay. For me, this is just meant to be a fun little exercise. Drawing outside is not my forte, but it doesn't stop me from bringing my sketchbook while traveling. Sometimes I create duds, which is okay, and sometimes I create the best sketches I have done for a while. And if drawing while traveling is not your thing, that's okay too, just do whatever makes you happy. If you're still here, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to take care of yourself and stop your doom scrolling habits once in a while. Hope to see you in the next one and wishing you all a darn good day. Okay, bye.